For the Democrats, this has become a virtue signal. For the Democrats, they wear a Ukrainian flag. Zelenskyy has become, I think People magazine is going to name him the sexiest man alive. They're in love with him. And it's become a way, a Ukrainian flag has become like a COVID mask. It's a sign to show your virtue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we're accepting your metaphor, Ted Cruz, then wouldn't knee-jerk opposition to those things be similar too? Like refusing to do literally anything to protect yourself or your loved ones from a disease just to stick it to the libs, turning against support for Ukraine just because you don't like that many Dems support it. Also, needlessly self-destructive. By the way, I know that everybody loves to throw around the term virtue signal or whatever, and I'm not saying that it can't in some case potentially have meaning. If somebody is doing something purely symbolically that maybe doesn't represent what they really believe and isn't actually doing anything to help out anyone, then sure, label it a virtue signal. But if they're doing something that helps people, that stops injustice and evil and mass crimes, and is consistent with prior promises we've made to our allies, it's not virtue signaling, it's just virtue at that point. And I'm not saying you can't disagree about different aspects of our policy when it comes to Ukraine. We're gonna engage in that potentially in just a little bit. But this knee-jerk need to effectively, let's just call it what it is, vice signal. There's this thing that everyone agrees is good, but I don't like the people who are doing it, so I'm gonna do the opposite just to prove how edgy I am. How is that in any way better, Ted Cruz? Sabrina, what do you think?
Ted Cruz anti-war? What? That's based as hell. Okay, Ted Cruz. But you're right. It's so opposite of what you would expect from Ted Cruz, considering, he is quite conservative and he loves our military like very, very much. You would think that he would be happy that we're essentially having a proxy war and we don't have to spend American lives. Like, isn't that the kind of stuff that Republicans kind of like? So yeah, kind of silly take from him, but hey, if he's anti-war, I'll take it.
Yeah. By the way, Luke Todd points out in the YouTube chat, what about those AK pins all the Republicans were so proud to wear? Look at me, look at how edgy I am. I'm gonna do the gun thing. I don't care about the fact that they're gunning kids down on a weekly basis with these weapons. Again, like virtue signaling might not be the best. Feel like it's better than constant vice signaling, maybe for society. In any event, while the point that he's making there is stupid, and by the way, he goes on to talk again about sort of what I was saying, that like, maybe there are some conservatives who would otherwise be supportive of supporting Ukraine, but they don't want to do it because of the Dems. That's a massive indictment of your own side, that you are saying and not even realizing what you're saying. Like that they would be so biased that they would be willing to just watch as like a people are wiped out, mass murder, mass rape, people being moved outside of their country, never to return, to own the libs. That's not me making the case that conservatives have an issue that they need to solve. That's you making it, Ted Cruz. In any event, he goes on to, I think, a little bit more reasonable commentary on the potential future path of the war, but we'll see what it is and see if we agree. Congressional patience for an open-ended commitment to the Ukraine war is fading quickly, and with a Republican majority in the House, I think you're gonna see much more scrutiny on what funds are going. I don't think that there's any evidence that it's fading quickly or whatever. Maybe congressional patience if he's talking about the Republicans, but they've been trying to undercut the effort from the very beginning. They seem to have some sort of knee-jerk opposition to Zelenskyy as a figure just because some people find him to be admirable in some way. But that said, if the Republicans do want to engage in scrutiny of where the funds are going, how much the funds are going, I think that's reasonable. It's certainly less deranged than some of the forms of oversight that they've previewed they're going to be engaging in. He goes on to say, by the way, I think there will still be a willingness to provide actual weaponry, to provide ammunition or weapons that the Ukrainians can use to defend themselves. I think there will be very little interest in unrestrained checks going to the government of Ukraine. That's where you potentially get into, well, I might draw that line differently than Ted Cruz or whatever, but the Republicans did, thanks to gerrymandering and all that, gain control of the House. If that's a shift in our policy, then that's a little bit less deranged than just people like Marjorie Greene going on Tucker Carlson to declare Zelenskyy a pimp or say that this war is anti-Russia or whatever. He's being a little bit more reasonable than that. But Sabrina, what do you think?
wait. Hold on. I missed that piece of history. Why did she call him a pimp?
Well, to be specific, she didn't declare him a pimp in what I saw anyway. She might have also done it. The literal lower third. So you see how we have this? Ted Cruz supporting Ukraine is virtue signaling. Their lower third on Fox News called him a pimp. It was an official declaration of the graphics team that he was in fact a pimp.
Yeah, their graphics team does go kind of hard over there. They come up, they must be really bored. But okay. I mean, I saw a little bit of that episode of whatever Ted Cruz's show was, and he seems to not like Zelenskyy because he was an actor, or he was just kind of using that to invalidate him or something. But yeah, he seems to have a real problem with just Zelenskyy himself. So I'm very confused by Cruz's takes on all of this. But I mean, I do like the idea of understanding where our money is going in terms of aid or military aid to Ukraine. I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing, considering, I mean, they saw that the Pentagon, for example, lost track of over $200 billion. I think some financial transparency is a good thing.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.